So I think there's a reality here. Games going day and date to PC from PlayStation is like silver nitrates to vampires for some of the hyper PlayStation fanboys. It's just an analogy that I'm going to use, like Blade, so I'm just throwing it out there. Again, by all means, this is more of a surface level statement, but I actually use this analogy to show that this is actually a deep rooted fear for a lot of people, or I guess at best I can call it a concern. Now, let's go ahead and see what's going on in this particular regard. So, Destin, former IGN journalist now on his own, is pretty much under the microscope of some of these so-called hyper fans. They're very small, vocal, uh, group of people. And when he came out and talked about Shuhei Yoshida's comments on their PC, uh, escapade where they go ahead and print money, because Shuhei Yoshida said putting PlayStation games on PC is almost like printing money. It appears that Destin actually amplifying the message or talking about it, or maybe in a sense representing it in his own understanding, has made for these folk to, in a sense, get a little bit unhinged. Now, I'll read some of these comments for you as to how they're responding, but I want to go ahead and do something first. Let's dive deep into the data. Let's see what exactly is going on. Because this move of PlayStation going day and date was not one that was ever entertained, and one that I can almost tell you, for the most part, did not seem likely. However, because the market has shifted and how market forces and economics work, despite some people's attempts to try to deny that the market is a reality, it's now something that no one can really deny. So this particular PlayStation blog shows an interview between Herman Holst and somebody from the PlayStation blog in the Q&A. This is right around the time that Horizon Zero Dawn was coming to PC. This is also a very pivotal moment because Herman Holst states very clearly what PlayStation's position was about publishing their games on PC. A lot of people were already concerned. Some PlayStation fans were complaining that their games were going to PC, or one game would probably mean that this was the opening of the Pandora's box, which they are right in hindsight. And he said, and maybe to put a few minds at ease, releasing one first-party AAA game on PC doesn't necessarily mean that every game will now come to PC. In my mind, Horizon Zero Dawn was just a great fit in this particular instance. We don't have any plans for day-and-date PC releases, and we remain 100% committed to dedicated hardware. Now, this was PlayStation's position and PlayStation's stance in 2020. They had no reason to go ahead and port more games to the PlayStation platform, to the PC platform. They also had maintained the stance that they had no plans for PC day and date. So already, if you were a PlayStation user in 2020 and you were buying a PlayStation 5, this is the information that was available to you as of March of 2020. Keep in mind that a PlayStation 5 was in the process of actually, coming pretty soon. So you already had this in mind going into that particular, crossover in the new generation, right? Another really interesting thing also took place around 2021. This is after the PlayStation 5 had been launched. TechRadar wrote an article where they said PS5 games will never launch on PC the same day, says former CEO. This is written by Hamish Hector, October 5th, 2021, when he even added and said, and we can't see that changing anytime soon. He says this: PlayStation has been tentatively dipping its toes into PC gaming for the past few years, now by releasing several Steam ports of its best games. So, remember, they had moved from Herman Holst pretty much telling you that just because one game is coming doesn't mean every game is coming. By 2021, several had already, touched the platform, because if you're looking at the history very carefully, you'll see that in 2021, at this time, Days Gone was the game that showed up that year. 1 year after Herman Holst had already said, just because one is coming doesn't mean all the others are. So the thing is changing little by little. And according to former CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Sean Layden, more support is coming. However, he also warns we shouldn't hold our breath for day and date releases on both PS5 and PC. During an interview, he talked about Horizon Zero Dawn. He talked about upcoming PlayStation 5 games, talked about all kinds of stuff, and expected us to follow what Herman Holst had pretty much put in place. But this was already on a shaky and a faulty foundation, and there's no way you could have held onto that. Then, the next year, PlayStation announces that live service games are coming to PC on day one. So from here, PlayStation had moved to here. Keep in mind, they were here just 2 years previously, and even their cohorts and former associates were even touting the same message, and I'm sure the gaming media and everybody else was also amplifying it. But then they moved over here. PlayStation Studios executive Herman Holst has confirmed that the upcoming live service games for PS4 and PS5 will release day and date on PC. Holst's statements are part of a recent string of interviews where the executive reiterated the studio's intent to diversify PlayStation with continued expansion into PC, mobile, and live service games. Sony's investment into the PC gaming space has been a bit slow compared to Microsoft, but it appears that the company is now all in on the platform. Over the past 2 years, PlayStation exclusives like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Marvel Spider-Man have launched on Steam. Pretty much a deviation from this first statement where they said just because one AAA game was coming didn't mean everything else was coming, right? And they said Epic Games to great reviews with more on the way. However, one caveat to enjoying PlayStation titles on PC has been the delay between PlayStation release and the PC port. Most games that have received PC treatment were still subject to multi-year gap since the initial PlayStation launch, but the gap has only gotten smaller as Sony continues to invest in the PC platform. This was already recognized by 2022. As far as PlayStation's upcoming live service games go, the gap between console and PC releases is entirely gone. In an interview, blah, 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 he said, nah, we're bringing them day one, but others will take a year. Right? Now, think about this, though. People were hypothesizing that the live service games could launch day and date. They didn't even really all jump in to say, oh, well, it's happening. It was first a hypothesis like, is it going to happen? But then it happened. And so they basically, as IGN had posted this article, had to update it to show that this was the case. Right? And then they were talking about it be at least a year before PlayStation exclusives hit PC, unless they are live service games. But ladies and gentlemen, that has not been the case in 2024. Only 2 years after that, PlayStation has launched not only live service games day one, but also other titles like Lego Horizon Adventures and single-player remake title Until Dawn remake, which has then landed on PC day one. So their entire paradigm has shifted because what Shuhei Yoshida said is true. They've been printing money on PC and they can't stop. Now let's read the comments from those who I think have somewhat lost their freaking minds. This person says, but you're making it seem like Sony is going day and date. Sony is not doing that. I just showed you, ladies and gentlemen, Sony going day and date. This person said, it's over, my dude. No need to shill work for Phil. In a conversation about PlayStation, these people say that you're shilling, right? This person said, you're really trying to please Microsoft on the daily. It's over. Microsoft killed Xbox in favor of being a third party. This is from a person called callsign Alfalfa. And Destin replied and said, I'm literally not talking about Xbox at all. Right? This person said, Xbox is doing nothing. That brand is dead. Microsoft Gaming is what it should be called. Plus, PlayStation is a well-led and run business. They will have way more success in gaming than Microsoft Gaming. I hope you all can realize and remember that we are still trying to stay on topic on PC games, and PlayStation games basically, being launched on PC day and date. A reality that PlayStation has shifted from. Remember, right? They moved from nothing to something, and some of all of this live service games. These people, and this person said, there was another one that said something. It was very weird. This was very interesting. This account Noir said, PlayStation is healthy and will never be in the failed loser state Xbox is in, Lil Bro. Cope harder. Do people say Lil Bro as a slur or as some kind of what is that supposed to mean? I mean, you can say Lil Bro. I mean, if you're old enough, if you're uncle status, you can say Lil Bro, right? Cope harder, according to this person. So this is very interesting because at the end of the day, what I'm seeing from these comments is that Xbox is living rent-free in the heads of these folk. Not only that, they are existentially threatened by such a shift in the market. That's pretty much, in my opinion, happening. You can't do anything to stop it. The market is shifting, the market is changing, the market is saturated, and PlayStation is adjusting accordingly. People keep saying that, Xbox has been flip-flopping in its own business strategy. I just showed you a 2 to 3 year switch in entire business models from PlayStation. If anything, the best possible way to see it is that Herman Hulst probably and the execs were, in a sense, considering it, but did not want to say anything to harm PlayStation 5 sales, knowing that they were going to port these games to PC. That if they had said it, people may have not bought the PlayStation 5. This is probably the biggest thing that anybody that's in journalism or critical analysis that has not pointed out should be pointing out, because in hindsight, this PS5 generation has been such a fugazi at the end of the day. Because pretty much all the games that you're seeing that have come out on the PS5 generation so far, majority of them are already on Steam. Majority of them are being played by PC players. And the talk from the gaming press that, they wanted you to basically come and buy a PS5 because they introduced you to new franchises is just a lie, because the sequels and the anthologies are immediately following and dropping on the PC platform like hotcake. So what are they waiting for you to buy? Spider-Man 6? They want you to go buy a PlayStation for Spider-Man 6? For The Last of Us Part 7? Is that what they're trying to do for Horizon, Forbidden Skies or Horizon Falling Skies or some third version of the Horizon game? No. They've looked at it, as Yoshida said, a printing money machine. And at this point, in order for them to basically think that they're going to make you go buy a $500 device to play one of these games, they understand and they realize that is a very, very long ask. It's an almost impossible ask. So what they do is they're going to feed you games. Xbox is going to feed PlayStation players games. And as much as they may try to mock it and talk nonsense about it, you're the vocal minority. Majority of PlayStation players would be happy to play those games and give Xbox money for it. This is what you existentially fear. These people making noise on the internet, they fear that their PlayStation counterparts will buy these Xbox games. That's what they're all worried about. That these games, when they land on PlayStation, will sell. At first, they tried to make it seem like we're going to buy it and it's going to be selling in our platform. And then they realize, oh, crap, it's going to actually sell if we buy it. And then now they realize, crud, people who are not console-worn are going to buy these games. This is why the console conversation must be prefaced with the available data and the available evidence that is out there for all of us, so that we can actually see what's going on. Because if we delve into comments and delve into fighting and pedantic nonsense, we'll miss out on what's all gone on. Has anybody even taken the time to actually show the shift in business strategy from the PlayStation talking head and the talking points? I'm going to call some names. Reforge Gaming, Cullen Moriarty, Nib95. All of you that tout PlayStation talking points, has any of you ever walked through a step-by-step, year-by-year tweak in PlayStation strategy showing from 2020 what PlayStation had actually dug its heels in, moving even through 2021, what PlayStation associates were saying and the news media and everybody were thinking, to 2022, when PlayStation moved from nothing to day one live service games. And now, as we're looking at things, they've also made a slight shift, very succinctly, by the way, very, very stealthily, to tweak that again, because Lego Horizon is not a live service game. And then at the same time, even some of their studios are bringing games to Xbox. Live service games. Marathon is going to launch on Xbox. And someone's going to sit here and tell me, well, according to what we heard, though, it may not launch on Xbox. Who cares, though? If it doesn't launch on Xbox, that's his business. Forza is going to launch on PlayStation. Let's see how that works out. But if it launches on Xbox, then it shifts the entire conversation. Say what you want. Bungie required that they launch on Xbox. Bungie does not require jack squat from a company that bought them for $3.something billion. That is a bunch of horse manure, and y'all know it. They don't call the shots. They've been acquired. They belong to Sony now. We own ya, Sony said when the check cleared. So again, I wonder what so-called PlayStation talking heads or people who may say that they're gaming journalists or analysts or whatever it is, what are y'all even doing? What are y'all doing even bothering? Like, what are you guys even talking about if you will not say these things or point them out and then go ahead and lambast anybody else who puts it out there? Because I'm not the one that's basically saying any of this stuff. It's PlayStation executives that are saying this. So my debate team is winning right now. I just recruited Sean too. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Holst, Mr. Layden, Mr. Yoshida. I'm most grateful. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.